Good news, everybody. This is Dr. Jester Rants, and I'm gonna rant about this. It's afraid. It's very, very afraid. USA Today. It's already having a massive effect. Corporate America demands Trump rescind executive order on diversity. No. It's just a specific kind of people who are profiting from this diversity thingamabob. It's afraid. Can you see it? It's so afraid that it's going to lose money and they are going to go bankrupt. It's so thick. The fear is so thick that you can actually get one of those tiny little butter knives and pass it here, see, and cut it. That's how afraid it is. Oh. This makes me joyous. Very, very joyous. Michelle King received an email this week from a corporate client who asked her to make sure her anti-racism talk would comply with the White House new executive order prohibiting the use of terms such as white privilege. She offered to cancel the agreement instead. That's such great news! Ooh, it's afraid, everybody. It's afraid. Even if I could deliver a compelling talk without using the term, I could not agree with the spirit of the ask. You're afraid of losing money, Michelle Kim. You're selling racism. That's what you're doing. You're selling racism. No wonder you're afraid. Trump just managed to cut a big chunk out of your possible number of clients. Like this. And it cut it. And now. And now you're afraid of having to actually work for a change. Maybe I suggest you try burger flipping. Based on your qualifications, I do not know which ones they are. Okay, I'm sorry, but this microphone today is bothering me more than usual. Alright, I think I got it. Well, based on your qualifications, since you actually sell racism, I'm gonna go ahead. There is a very, very high probability or possibility that you may have a gender studies or some other related degree related to that. So in that case, may I suggest burger flipping or maybe supermarket cashier? I hear they pay quite well, $15 an hour or so. It's actually great if you live in America. That's definitely more than I would earn let's see, at least half a week doing the same job in the shithole I live in. That's probably, let's see, that's I think you take at least 3 days or so for you to work to get that amount of money in the shithole I live in, give or take. Isn't it great? Even if I could not agree with the spirit of the ask. Came out of the CEO of Awaken, which provides interactive racism, sexism, and disinclusion workshop. See, I fixed it. I fixed the name, or not the name, but I fixed the purpose of the company. Wrote on Twitter, I understand the predicament of companies are in right now. Does this expose us to legal risk? Will we get sued? Will we lose our government contracts? Yes! Please do! You people keep peddling racism. You people peddle that one certain demographic is inferior to all others, that they are inherently racist, that they inherently flawed, and that they need to actively and purposefully submit themselves to their masters, that they are incapable of receiving even forgiveness. Dude, even Christianity offers forgiveness. Even Christianity, they even have an idol that they worship that offers forgiveness, called Jesus. Why can't intersectionality religion offer the same thing? Of course not, because then you're not gonna make enough money. President Trump's decisions to restrict the federal government and its contractors from engaging in what he calls divisive and un-American. No, he's absolutely correct. It is divisive and un-American. Before you snake oil peddlers of racism, there wasn't that much discrimination to begin with. Only now you idiots started doing this that it started having this problem. Diversity is sending a chilling effect throughout corporate America. Thank goodness. Just as companies were stepping up efforts to address racial disparities following... What? There's no racial disparities. Jesus Christ. And the way they put it here, it's a complete and utter bullshit. Oh, it had to be a guy who wrote this. No, technically, George Floyd died because he suffered from fentanyl overdose. And in fact, if you read the autopsy reports, you're gonna see that his neck, even his hyoid bone, was intact. There was no injury in relations to his neck or the esophagus. The entire area here was completely and utterly free of injury. So that means that whatever the police officer did to restrain him wasn't responsible for his death. It's already having a massive effect and will continue to have a massive effect until it's rescinded, or if it's rescinded. See, that's important for why you Americans, why it is so important for you guys to go out on November and cast your vote for Trump. I know. The Latinos, so many shitholes of Latin America saying these things. I know, but it's actually based on the health of the entire world. If Biden becomes president, we all know wars will resume, troops will return to Afghanistan, to Iraq. You won't be seeing any more peace deals in the world. There's probably going to be a war with Russia, maybe with Iran. Definitely America is going to lose a lot of jobs to China. Your taxes will definitely 100% increase, way more than what I already pay in this shithole for bunk, because of the amount of quantity of taxes we pay here in this shithole. I mean, I can't even afford anything. For instance, let's use this as an example. I paid what? $30, I think? 50, 40, I don't quite remember, in the US, in Amazon.com. Guess how much it would cost in here? 80, more or less, or 100, depending on how much I paid. If I paid 40, it would cost at least $120 where I live. So, are you willing to do that? Because taxes will increase if Biden gets elected, especially if he needs to implant that Green New Deal from Kamala Harris and AOC. You're going to lose a lot of jobs, and your family and every single one of you are going to end up paying thousands of dollars extra in taxes. Is that what you want? Nobody wants that. I don't want America to become another Latin American shithole. I don't. Jesus Christ. Where was I? Okay. Partnered with law firm MacArthur & English, who represents multinational contracts and small and medium-sized companies. The executive order stated goal is to combat offensive and anti-American race and sex stereotyping and scapegoating. Thank goodness. A White House memo in late September suggested rooting out ideologies that label entire groups of Americans as inherently racist or evil. That's absolutely correct. In diversity training materials by searching for keywords such as white privilege, systemic racism, intersectionality, which is the name of the new religion, and unconscious bias. I say, based on the amount of people who adopted the intersectionality religion, they grew way more than Islam, and Islam needs to grow based on reproduction alone, because barely any people convert to Islam. Most of them, the numbers that grow, is based on reproduction. So intersectionality managed to do what Islam haven't been able to do, convert people. But then again, they converted with force too, with threats and other things. Critics say the executive order is a broadside against diversity and inclusion programs that will impair efforts by businesses and governments to reverse decades-long patterns of discrimination and exclusion. Dude, you didn't even have this problem before you guys started looking for a problem. There wasn't any. The USA Today investigation found that more than 55 years after civil rights law, less than 2% of the top executives of the nation's largest companies are black. There is a reason for that. It's mostly First and foremost, is due to the lack of parental or familial cohesion in the black family. Their family is so destructured that they value the life of crime way more than it should. For instance, the music, movies, and the culture in itself, it values more crime than anything. You shouldn't put value on that. Then there is the fact that they are simply not that interested in many other things. It's normal, it's completely natural. For instance, there is way more Asians than white people in certain positions, in certain jobs, and that's completely and utterly normal. Yeah, because Asians, it depends on culture, on what they do, on how they grew up. That's one of the things. If you want to actually change this, you need to change way down the bottom, when the kid is first being born, when it comes out of the mommy's little womb. You need to start there if you want to address the 2% of top executives, if you want to increase that. You need to teach the kid that they should value responsibility, that they should value education, that they should value a family, and they need to have a father figure for them to admire and look up to. They need to do that, so when they grow, they won't turn to a life of crime, which is why there's a meme with the FBI crime statistics showing 13 population based on 50% of 55 actually now crimes committed. That's why you need to start from there. You cannot go and blame one race for the ills and problems of another and make it impossible for that race to even reach forgiveness or even wash away its sins. No, it's impossible. If you want to achieve that without actually addressing the issue, you need to start with families. You need to look up to them. For instance, in the past, when a black family had more cohesion and there was a father figure and mother figure, they would grow to become even better persons, even better people. I want to bet that those 2% at the top of the executive nations, top of the executive at the nation's largest companies, being black, I want to bet that they actually had a good family when they were kids, in most cases. Obviously, there's always an exception, but wanna bet that this is the case. Wanna bet. You need to start if the family is dysfunctional, or there are problems and the kid doesn't improve himself or herself, or things like that, the chances of them to become a CEO, a successful person, is minimal. And that is true to every single race out there, including whites. You can see on whites mostly on let's use an example that the control left loves: rednecks. if they don't have familial cohesion, they don't have a father figure or things like that, or the family is completely destroyed or things like that, or the person loses everything and they turn to a life of crime, or they do not even want to improve themselves, they'll never become a CEO of a very large multinational company. And that's a white individual. So it's the same thing for blacks, the same thing for Asians, the same thing for Arabs, the same thing for Indians, the same thing for Latinos. It's the same thing for everybody. We are all humans, so we all have the same problems. If we all have the same problems and also not the same solutions. Because of this, you need to start from small. Let's keep going. Research shows that fostering diverse and inclusive workplaces boosts financial performance and increases innovation, but corporations are pulling back on diversity and inclusion training out of fear of losing out on government contracts that are critical, if not the lifeblood of their business. Third, behind the scenes, civil rights leaders and industry groups are exploring legal challenges to the executive order similar to organized opposition to the president. Dude, stop lying! There was no Muslim travel ban, you fucking retard! Who the fuck wrote this article? Stop lying! There was no Muslim travel ban. The travel ban only encompassed or only affected certain countries that were mostly Muslims. Why? Because they could not guarantee that the visas were properly screened, that they had no property, that they had no proper way of vetting the person, and that the embassy needed restructuring, the embassy or consulate. That's it. If Muslim ban was an actual Muslim travel ban, they would have encompassed every single Islamic country out there, from Turkey to Indonesia to Saudi Arabia and more. But that did not happen. You fucking liar. Who the person wrote this? You fucking piece of shit. Jesus Christ. And people like the person who wrote this article wants to vet what is fake news or not. Here's the biggest example of what we can consider an absurd fake news. Jesus, proponents of the let's keep reading. Proponents of the executive order argue that it only prohibits racist or sexist teachings, like the one race or sex is inherently superior to another. But the White House memo on how to interpret the order makes clear that the intended impact is far broader, said Joel Emerson, founder and executive officer of the there you go, another company that is going to lose contracts because you cannot sell racism again or sexism. Executive officer diversity and inclusion strategy firm Paradigm. The goal is clear: to limit companies from trading in a wide range of well-researched themes in diversity, equity, and inclusion space. No, it's not well-researched. That's just you idiots selling bullshit. Pushback is growing of civil rights leaders and industry groups. Dozens of civil rights groups, including NAACP, Legal Defense, and Education Fund of the Lawyers Committee for Simple Support. Last week condemned the executive order as another sign of Trump's support for white supremacists while demonstrating deep hostility to civil rights and racial justice. How many times does Trump need to denounce white supremacists? He even labeled the KKK as a terrorist group. What else do you want, you fucking morons? He even donated, what, 500 billion? Not donated, he's going to give $500 billion to black communities. What else do you fucking want, you bunch of triggered shit flakes? Jesus Christ. How often do you need Trump to denounce white supremacy? And besides, why would a white supremacist, a avowed white supremacist, have Jewish kids, support Israel? What kind of sort of moronic idea is that? Are you fucking retarded? Because you sound like you're fucking retarded if you actually think that. Holy fuck on a pickle. Jesus Christ. And then later on you have the Democrats trying to pull down civil rights in California so they can discriminate people being hired to. They do not see or think that the law they are trying to strike down, which was given during the civil rights period, would even allow companies to hire whites only. No, they can't think that far ahead. They are fucking morons. Sorry about that. On Thursday, a group of 11 technology, software, and advertising industry groups that represent thousands of government contracts called on Trump administration to rescind it. Fuck you. The executive order fails to acknowledge the realities of ongoing racial inequality and inequities in America and represents an unwarranted intrusion into the private sector efforts to combat systemic racism, according to the latest editor of the Budget Labor Department. I don't think I'm gonna keep reading this. It's just enough to see that they are absolutely 100% afraid. And I need executive order that will no longer compliance mode. Let's see, Trump inspired by conservative activists. Corporations fear losing government. I hope they do fear losing government contracts if you keep on peddling and selling racism. I hope those companies that these people peddle, that they use or created to peddle racism goes under. You definitely 100% need to do that, because I hate that people sell racism. I hate racists. Yes, I'm not afraid of saying that. Let's see what it says in the last few paragraphs before I call it quits. The worry is that folks who attend trainings who don't like an aspect of the training can use this or even use guidance to cause problems. Good! Because of the lack of really concrete standards here, and because so much of this is so incredibly subjective. Corporations could face extraordinarily harsh penalties. Excellent! Donner said, if found in violation, they could have their contracts suspended or terminated and could be declared ineligible for future contracts according to the guidance. Excellent. The message is, watch out, Turner said. Contractors don't take those threats lightly. They could potentially put an end to their business. Excellent. So stop peddling fucking racism, stop selling sexism, and stop blaming one demographic for your own ills. Stop it. Enough already. And on that note, they are definitely afraid. They are afraid. Right now, they are going to start peddling and sperging out. They're going to keep doing that. They're going to go completely utterly insane for a little while until they die. So that's why I'm telling you, go vote for Trump to make sure that this executive order stays, so it doesn't get pulled down. We need to find. It's afraid. We are prodding them exactly in the right spot. We need to do more. But this is an example that they are exceptionally afraid. And I'm gonna quote Jeremy Clarkson here on that bombshell. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. See you in my next video. Good night.